Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and let's talk about creepy Uncle Joe Biden, because obviously there's been a lot of news regarding the Ukraine and possibly Trump being impeached. I've been staying away from the story a lot, mostly because it's just so boring and it's such an obvious distraction, but I have to find funny what the news decides to cover and what it doesn't cover. And, you know, this weird thing about, first the media pushing this idea that Trump was colluding with Russia, and now it's colluding with Ukraine, which obviously is a bit of a difference between colluding with Russia. I mean, how could you even collude with both at the same time unless you're, a banker and playing both sides of a war or something? But my point is, I find it rather ironic that this, Russian collusion narrative was pushed so long, and when that kind of lost steam, it became the Ukrainian collusion. I mean, remember the Obama administration and their ties to the Ukraine. Now, I should mention that Trump did arm Ukrainian-backed anti-Russian rebels, so that should be pointed out. But I want to talk about the absurdity of this whole story, because Joe Biden did just seemingly threaten Lindsey Graham. And again, this plays into the whole circus of politics. I think that Lindsey Graham's a piece of trash. I think that Joe Biden's a piece of trash. I think this whole spectrum of collectivism is terrible, and it's slavery. And, this is just another example how government is organized crime. But let's talk about this story. Did Joe Biden just threaten Lindsey Graham for investigating him, says this Zero Hedge article. And as the article goes into, former Vice President Joe Biden lashed out at Senate Judiciary Chairman Lindsey Graham for launching an investigation into whether Biden abused his office when he had Ukraine's top prosecutor fired when he was looking into Burisma Holdings, the Ukrainian gas company paying Hunter Biden to sit on its board. And I quote, "Lindsey is about to go down in a way that I think he's going to regret his whole life," Biden told CNN host Don Lemon in a Friday interview in South Carolina. And I quote, "I say, Lindsey, I'm just embarrassed by what you're doing for you." I mean, my Lord. So once again, Biden playing the whole mobster character that he often does when he's not sniffing children's hair. And I'll continue this article here. It says, and I quote, "They have him under their thumb right now. They know he knows that if he comes out against Trump, he's got a real tough road for re-election. Number one," Biden continued. "He knows me. He knows my son. He knows there's nothing to this. Trump is now essentially holding power over him that even the Ukrainians wouldn't yield to. The Ukrainians would not yield to, quote, investigate Biden. There's nothing to investigate about Biden or his son." It's almost reminiscent of the recent Prince Andrew interview, and it's going to come back to haunt Biden, I think, in the end. Remember, I should add that this whole thing started because there's evidence that Biden was colluding with the Ukrainians, and there's a corruption probe, and Trump called the Ukrainians and tried to get information and all that kind of stuff. And maybe he should have, maybe he shouldn't have. It's all government to me. So honestly, it's up in the air for me. I don't care. It's all immoral, garbage, collectivist nonsense. But anyway, I mean, it's just funny how this turned around somehow on Trump, and now it's turning into these crazy impeachment hearings. And it gets so crazy. This is why I try to ignore the actual political reality show as much as possible, because this is all that you see in the news, so it's obviously a distraction. But I do think that there's some hilarity to this, and there's something that we can get out of this. Remember, let's not forget that Hunter Biden just fathered a child with a woman while dating his brother's widow. I mean, these people are scum. I don't even know how to elaborate on that or break that down any further than the fact that these people have to be absolute scum. How do you sleep with your brother's widow and then at the same time father a child apparently in Arkansas with someone else secretly? I mean, and Biden was asked about this at a press conference recently, and he's just like, "Oh, real classy. That's a private issue." No one's denying anything there, because your family is scum, you're scum, and you taught your son to be scum. Anyway, carrying on with the article, it says, on Thursday, Graham sent a letter to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo seeking all documents and communications related to Joe Biden's phone calls with Ukraine's former president Petro Poroshenko which occurred February 11th, 18th, and 19th, as well as March 22nd, 2016, citing media reports that the two discussed firing the prosecutor general, Viktor Shokin. In addition, Graham is seeking all documents and communications between Biden, his office, and Poroshenko's office spanning this period from when Burisma founder Mykola Zlochevsky's house was raided and Shokin was dismissed. Graham notes in his letter that Hunter Biden followed longtime Joe Biden aide Tony Blinken over Twitter the day that Interfax reported that Zlochevsky's property had been seized, suggesting the two may have discussed Shokin's investigation per Politico. In response to Biden's comments on Graham, Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani suggested the former vice president was threatening the senator and was getting to be more and more like my old mafia cases, adding, "They sure do sound like crooks." Now, I should add that Rudy Giuliani himself is a crook, and let's not forget about 9/11 here. Giuliani's a bad person, and he is just as much mafia as the people that he went after, and his stop and frisk program and the randomly homeless people disappearing in New York back in the 90s. Oh yeah, cleaned it up, but it also, who knows what happened to a lot of those people? Do you even want to know? It reminds me of the secret prisons in Chicago. Anyone remember that? Anyway. But Giuliani has said, as this article says out of Fox News, Rudy Giuliani says he's not afraid of being indicted, labels Joe Biden a liar. So again, we get back to this reality show where you have crook versus crook, mobster versus mobster, and people are rooting for sides. I mean, this gets down to that sports mentality, the psychology of people and collectivism, and always thinking that this is about team sports. Red or blue, Pepsi or Coke, both are bad for you, and both are probably made by the same company, and they're basically the same, with slight differentiations that are so slight, it's ridiculous. Honestly, this is just more evidence that government is organized crime, like I said. And if people don't get that after all these years, you go back, ancient Greece, democracy doesn't work, but let's keep trying. Change we can believe in for centuries, millennias. Maybe we'll get Caligula in. Maybe he'll change things up a bit. Oh, that guy has nice hair. Or that guy puts his thumb in his fist in a cool looking way that makes him look like he's one of us. Maybe we should get a beer with him. That mentality is getting so outdated and so ridiculous, and that old guard system eventually will go down. But carrying on, I want to also mention this article that's been covered up, but it came out of the Hill back in April, I believe. It was an article written by John Solomon for the Hill, and it says, Ukrainian to U.S. prosecutors, why don't you want our evidence on Democrats? And it cued this meme, which essentially says, and the Ukraine just killed itself. Kind of like Jeffrey Epstein didn't. So honestly, I don't know how more to break this down other than you just have all these mob rackets fighting with each other, folks. There's distraction story after distraction story. It still doesn't talk about, what about Epstein? What's going on with Epstein? Well, how are they going to cover that up with these stories on impeachment and all that stuff? Trump could, technically speaking, be impeached. I mean, let's be realistic about it. But he'll be replaced by some other president that does what he's told and reads a teleprompter or an event every now and then, says something anti-establishmentarianist so that people actually think that they're in charge of things and that they have a plan, trust the plan, and all that kind of stuff. I am being consistent, folks, and people will unsubscribe and all that kind of stuff for being consistent, but I stick by the truth, and I will die a happy man speaking the truth rather than sucking up to popular, belief systems, whether it's left or right. I'm outside of that spectrum. I think it's all nonsense. Government is organized crime. The only difference is that government has a bunch of cheerleaders with, face paint of America, all that kind of stuff all over their face and waving flags and saying freedom while extorting the masses, utilizing usury under the social contract to push people into debt servitude so that you can come in as a predator and destroy their lives and then blame capitalism, even though it's a government that's doing it, while the central bank prints vast amounts of currency, which people have to pay the interest on the debt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's all part of a huge scheme. It's the biggest scam in history, and you guys are the victims of it, and people need to stop looking for the same entity that created the problem to come in as a solution. Trust the plan, trust the plan. No, screw the plan. Let's think about what is best for us as free individuals. Live free. Live by example. It's not about all the ways that we're being extorted and all the ways that our freedom's being taken away. It's about what we're doing about it. And instead of looking for government or these other organized crime rackets to come in and save the day and solve the problems they created in the first place, a Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, solution, repeat for eternity, let's think about what we as free individuals are doing about this. Don't forget, folks, that you are born free. And it's your responsibility, as is freedom. Freedom and responsibility go hand in hand. It's your responsibility to protect those freedoms that you hold so dear. Or revere those chains and go down with the ship. The old guard's dying. People are waking up. It's about what we do next that counts the most. Anyway, I appreciate everyone watching today. Remember, Epstein didn't kill himself. Julian Assange is still in prison. Taxation is theft. And join Float because YouTube's about to take down our channel very, very soon. Oh, yeah, and pedophiles run the media. Anyway, until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change. Like what you see here, Wham! Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We cannot do it without you guys. Every donation is extremely, extremely appreciated as we're getting incredibly shadow banned. We've lost 80% of our audience since January of 2019 and counting. They are ripping us apart here on YouTube, and the only thing we could do in the meantime as we prepare for the next big step is to ask for help from the viewers that support our free information that we try to post on a daily basis. You can also find us on Subscribestar, where just $1 a month, that's all it takes, $1 a month is all it takes to truly make a huge difference. If everyone gave $1 a month, it would change everything for independent media, and we could win this information war, and we can defeat the mainstream medias eventually. And of course, on Subscribestar, we post subscriber-only content that you'll only see on Subscribestar. So make sure to pledge there, become a patron. That makes a huge difference, guys. And also, don't forget to check out our Bitcoin address below in the comments and description, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on the alternatives. We will likely be deleted by YouTube in the next 2 years. It's already happening on a vast scale, so make sure to find us on float.app. That's flote.app. at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, W-A-M. Float.app is replacing every social media, and I mean, it's just incredible the opportunities it provides for not just creators, but for the average person who wants to get away from these nannies telling them what they can or cannot see. They plan to replace Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon. You could subscribe to us on Float and pledge with cryptocurrency. It's really innovative. We are also on BitChute at World Alternative Media, as well as so many others, Minds, PocketNet. You can find us at World Alternative Media on Instagram. There's many options. And finally, don't forget to join us at Anarchapulco 2020, the famous event, the best liberty event known to mankind, other than perhaps Anarcho Vegas 2020. There are 2 major events coming up that we are extremely excited about, and you can use promo code WHAM, that's W-A-M, and save 10% on your tickets to these legendary conferences. There's so many amazing people speaking there. You won't want to miss it. So make sure to support in any way you can, even if it's just sharing our videos, pressing like, pressing to be notified. Anything helps, folks. You are the change you wish to see. Thanks for watching, everyone. And until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.